This is our first box of Havelock wool. Look at that!
Oh my god! Cats are gonna love that.
Smells like New Zealand. I'm just kidding, I've never been to New Zealand. It smells like sheep.
Hey Google, what's the temperature outside right now?
Currently it's -9 degrees. -9 degrees Celsius is equal to 15.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, it's a little cold out here today. The Vivor diesel heaters we have installed actually have Bluetooth, and I can turn them on from here. Now, granted, it'll take a while to heat up, but there we go. We've got a space heater in the utility bay, and it's plugged into one of the Bluetti AC300s. As soon as I turn on the AC, it immediately jumps up to 700 watts. Cool. Now let's turn on the other one, because I'm going to want lights. Now, this is a perfect example of why I like the Bluettis. They've got built-in temperature protection. They will not charge below 0 degrees Celsius. This one is down to 96% and it's not charging. This is why I wanted to turn on the space heater, and we'll get that working. There we go. All right. Perfect day to start talking about insulation. Hope that's... Yeah, it's running good. It should be hot. Opinions on insulation, especially when it comes to a van conversion or a bus conversion, well, that's like nostrils. Everybody's got one. Most people have two. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. There's so many different ways to insulate something like this. Hi. We've chosen to go with Havelock wool, which is a very popular choice. It suits our need for something that's renewable, natural. It doesn't off-gas. Producing it doesn't take a lot of power or industrial chemicals. So it suits us in that regard as well. There are a lot of people who don't like it for various reasons. One of them is that it settles. Most batt insulation does. There are ways around that, and we're going to be taking advantage of them. Some people also say it smells like a barnyard. Well, let me show you this. We've got a box open, some of them laying out. It doesn't smell like a barnyard to me. And to be perfectly honest, I don't mind the smell of a barnyard. A subtle hint of sheep, but certainly not overpowering. There's so many different people who have different opinions. There's one person in particular who I respect for his work in this community, who went off on a rant against Havelock wool and promoted spray foam as a choice. Now, I got to tell you, when we first started contemplating how to insulate this bus during the conversion, spray foam was our go-to for one reason, and primarily one reason only, and that's because it has the highest R value per inch of any form of insulation that we've found or investigated, and it deserves the accolade it gets for that reason. What we didn't like about it was the potential for off-gassing, not just during the installation, but over time. And I know people will say, and if you have an opinion, by all means, share it with us. Well, I'm happy to discuss it. People will often say that it won't off-gas after it's finished setting, but they used to say that about urea formaldehyde as well. And people used to say about asbestos, once it's in the walls and everything, it's safe. It doesn't, fibers don't get out. They're locked in. Well, neither of those things were true. And I'm skeptical of the veracity of the claims that the modern spray foam insulation won't be off-gassing for years to come. So we've decided to go with Havelock. It doesn't off-gas, and if it does, it's a very pleasant little smell. What does bother me about this, however, is that this is the stuff specifically made for vans. And it is only 1.25 inches wide, thick rather, and I don't think that is a great R value. So I'm concerned about that, because we have quite a bit of space here in our wall cavity, so we might have to be doubling up or using this as one layer and then going for another, maybe rock wool behind it or something. Purportedly, it has some really good water absorption qualities, which I really like. Spray foam has 0 water absorption qualities, which is great for what it does, especially as it's its own vapor barrier. But again, I don't like the potential it has. Another reason we couldn't go for spray foam is because of the timing. In one of our other videos, we talked about the Get Mow and Go project that we've got, and we just couldn't wait for the weather to be perfect to install spray foam. We had other things we needed to do before we got to the installation of insulation, and unfortunately, when we were ready, as we are now, to start insulating, it's just too cold. Spray foam installation needs a very specific temperature range in order to be installed, to be sprayed on and to adhere and to set. And we just couldn't do that. Even with the heaters in here, we just could not guarantee that that would work. And what is the temperature right now? Let me just check. All right, well, it's 2 degrees C in here right now, considering it was -9 outside, and it probably still is. Yeah, so we just couldn't guarantee the temperature or the environment it needed to set. So we're going to start with this and see where we go from there.
I am prepping for ceiling and wall insulation today, and I'll show you what that looks like. Started doing this yesterday as just kind of an experiment to see how it would go. It seems like it's going to work really well. The idea is that some of the insulation will be held in by the furring strips, but the stuff that's here, we don't want it to fall down, so we're going to kind of do a zigzag along these open areas. Hopefully that'll help us hold it. So we're using Havelock wool.
Insulation? Are we that far ahead?
We're almost there.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
Very exciting. We got some tips from our friends Mela and Dawn when they did their Havelock wool insulation. Sorry. When they did their Havelock wool insulation, they had some cool techniques for like getting it to stay in place in these wall areas using both gravity and kind of this little, I don't know what to call it, but basically they use like a little piece of wood and help to kind of tuck it in. And so we're gonna do something like that on the walls, but on the ceiling we're gonna try this string method. We'll let you know how that goes. I'll check back in a little bit and show you my progress. About the method that we're using to install the Havelock wool. We've seen it done a few different ways, and you may have seen that I started out with a little manual staple gun, and I have moved on to this pneumatic staple gun, and man, having that air behind it makes a huge difference. Basically, the goal is to attach the top of the wool to the furring strips so that over time, with all of the jiggling and vibration of the bus, it doesn't start to fall, come loose, or anything like that. So I've pretty much finished it for today, but basically I take a strip. There a few different directions that these are going on these lower parts. It's a little bit complicated because there are all these beams, so I'm kind of pushing things through the beams and whatnot. But anyway, I clamp it on, and then once I have stapled around the clamp, then I take the clamp off and I make sure that I very carefully get my fingers out of the way, and I staple where the clamp was. There we go. So yeah, this is very sturdy, very much in there, not going anywhere. The other thing that we kind of discovered is that overlapping the pieces is important. And I'll show what that looks like here. So you can see that these two pieces are overlapped, and underneath is the bare sheet metal. This was actually the first wall that I did, and that's when I started to realize, oh, if I don't overlap, there's gonna be at least a little bit of bare sheet metal that might rattle through, and we don't want that. And so I've got these overlapped by, maybe 3 inches or something like that to make sure that that doesn't happen. This right here is just one layer, sheet metal and Havelock wool, just one layer. And you can see that, you can't tell with my hand here, that there's several inches of room between the wool and the end of the furring strip. And so I'm actually going through and doubling down on the layers as I go. Now, we may not do that everywhere. We haven't finished all the way around. We've still, as you can see, here, let me actually stand up. So yeah, as you can see, we haven't done insulation on the bottoms or the very, very tops or on most of the ceiling. We got a little bit of the ceiling done. We were kind of just testing out the method here, but we've got the major large parts of the middle completely done. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, hi honey, 4 boxes left here, and then we got 2 boxes at home. So we have 6 boxes left. Here's the I guess here's what we're gonna do to kind of make sure that we've got enough insulation, but we're not gonna run out of the Havelock wool because it's expensive. We're gonna go around and do 1 layer of Havelock wool all the way around the bus, including the ceiling, every place that we need for there to be insulation, 1 layer. And then if we have enough left over, we will double it up like we have in the bedroom. These are the bedroom walls, but the reason we went ahead and doubled up this part is because we wanted to get a test wall on, and now you can see that this is real thick with Havelock wool, and it's so nice right here. That's what we want. We don't want there to be this big space between the insulation and the wall where the furring strip is. We want to make sure that that's filled up the way it is right here. If we have enough Havelock wool, we will do it double layer all the way around the bus. If we don't, we've decided that we're gonna do, honey, what is it called?
Rigid foam board.
Rigid foam board, yeah, foam board. Because we can do like 1 inch to 1.25 inches, something like that, of foam board in these spaces, then just, you know, put the walls on and that'll work just as well. So anyway, that's the plan. We are, you know, going back to front, just trying to get the bedroom part as insulated as we can get it so we can do these test walls and yeah, start building out the bus back to front. So it's very exciting.
That was the test wall. Everything else is going to be just a wall.
That's true. This is really cool, honey.
This is so. This is so.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed.
We did good today.
Yes, we did.
I'm proud of us.
I'm proud of you. These are rated for 32 amps at 600 volts, I believe. And it will never, ever get that much current. And let me tell you why.